Greetings and welcome back to Stellaris, my Commonwealth of Man playthrough. So far we haven't found anybody but a fallen empire, so no real use for our envoys yet. We have finally located the Hyacinth, we just have to make our way to it. Now I'm still going to explore over this way, and she is going to push on this way, so she was the one who's most likely to find it. I'm not going to rush over to the Hyacinth at this point. I'm going to slowly make my way looking for things. Looking for a decent choke point along here where I can block things. But this was a brand new star system that was created by completing the first set of search for the Hyacinth. And then we will go there to finally locate it. Now, as far as my planets, I'll be having another human here next month. I will probably make sure they're a clerk because I would rather have a slight happiness boost over more surplus food at this point. And it'll be about 3 years before we get one here. So there's no rush for me to do building development. I can let my minerals build up, plus I'm in the process of building more mining and research stations. Now that is starting to slowly put a drain on my energy credits, so I might actually consider developing a generator district on Earth, on Unity. Now again, I'm not going to rush out to find other species this real quick. I'd like to build up my military first, so that if I do run into another species, we're on at least equal footing, if not me being superior to them and able to tear them down. Because we are not going to trust the Xeno. White Hell. Despite the seemingly frozen surface of Caspadine 5, the planet's orbital path around Caspadine leaves it blistering at several hundred degrees. Under normal circumstances, this would sublimate the ice on Caspadine 5's surface. However, extreme gravitational pressure exerted by the planet's ultra-dense core keeps the water in a solid state, resulting in a planet of fiery hot ice. Now, there's only one more to survey here, and we will be pushing onward. And we will be surveying along the way, I believe. Because we are wanting to push forward to find a choke point. So that means we would need to be able to claim the systems along the path. And I do need to move that from a farmer to a clerk. It'll also help with my energy credits slightly. Yeah, 3.5 years more for Unity to get another pop. 2 years for, now that we have some immigration coming from Unity, 2 years for Flaxington. And it only takes about 8 months to build that, or 1 year to build a building. Oh, what is this? Another continental world and a desert world. Alright, as you pass through this system, well, we'll hold off on surveying that because we have to survey a path to it, and I do want to push forward another one to see if that connection ends with this system. And in a month or two, we should be getting another tradition. So now any colonies we get will start with an additional pop. Colonization fever seems to have gripped the populace. Their enthusiasm and patriotic fervor draws additional population to new colonies. Now the next one will boost our pop growth speed, which will allow our colonies to develop faster.
Recon pass completed.
Alright, so we've got Caspadine. I've only got 2 stations to build here. In July, I'm going to start churning out, we've already got our other colony ship, the Hecate, on its way to Hantaran. I'm going to start building armies. Build a couple of armies. Okay, it does progress onward, so I do need to keep going until I see where this dead ends. Alright, so we're going to recruit an assault army from Earth and from our new colony. So in 3 months we will have 2 assault armies. We can start sending them to Elysium. And it'll probably take about 6 months to get down there. Now I do have sufficient alloys. I can go ahead and reinforce this fleet. It has still kept going this way, so we'll go ahead and explore to the next system. And this is a Savannah world. Okay, we can progress onward there. I think that is in their territory, but this bypasses it. So after we survey this system, we will grab this one, and then this one. Yeah, if we can get up to here, pushing up this way, we block off this area from this direction. It's just a matter of how far this goes. If this ends up connecting around, we're going to have to end up pushing up to at least Obatellis. So we have 2 transport fleets. We will tell them to head to be in orbit of that, and we will tell them to merge along the way. It will take 8 months. I figured 6, but 8 will work. We're about done with this mining station. We're moving on to this system and can start building a starbase there, and I think then we will just push on here and see about building another starbase, and then probably push on here to build yet another starbase and see about claiming 2 more colonies fairly quickly. It is still proceeding onward. Let's actually explore to here. If I find a dead end before then, I can always turn around. Now, I'm not going to be reinforcing my fleet until I grab these systems, because I don't want to run out of alloys before I do 3 rapid outposts. Now, we should be just about done with the Warriors text. Yeah, about 4 more months. So it'll be about March when we complete it. An arid world, and it looks like it's looping back around this way. So we might find a decent single choke point where these condense again. We might have a nice cluster of systems we can pretty much keep to ourselves here. This is actually going to be a decent system just because of the alloy generation. Always like early alloys.
Our pioneers have made planetfall.
Be about 2 years. Well, it would be exactly 2 years before Hantarun is up and running and we have our 3rd colony. Tomb world. Alright, looks like it's connecting up that way. And it'll probably end up going into the Void Sea Nebula. Now they will probably be in position. Yeah, they'll be in position before I get over here and build the starbase. I probably could have waited another 6 months. But they don't have that bad. It's just a few energy credits surplus I'm sparing. Now, I probably should have waited another 6 months. But I like to excuse that with humans being wasteful.
Special project complete.
Our language experts have been at it for weeks to try and translate the documents we found at the old battlefield. Today we finally have some results. We now know that the fallen warriors all followed the teachings of a philosopher called Talisa, the Teller of Tales. The documents are breakdowns of tactics, strategy, and most importantly, logistics in interstellar warfare. Being a strong spokesperson against war, Talisa still found this to be essential knowledge for steering into the future. Even the most peaceful of people might be forced into a corner in their work for a better world. Splendid! So that gives us an edict. The Master's teaching warring states that boosts naval capacity and reduces army upkeep. Very good edict for us when we get the edict fund to handle it. Translations of an alien philosopher's teaching. Her depictions of war and ideas on combat strategy could make excellent training material for our military. Creating unity is the biggest challenge, partially because sustainability often generates borders. These borders need to be torn down, a sentiment which scares many. One must sometimes be willing to tear down in order to build something stronger from the ashes. Talisa, the Teller of Tales. Yeah, it still continues onward. So let's explore to here and see if it ends in the nebula or keeps pushing onward. Either this constellation or this constellation is going to be a dead end. I think after I finish the survey of this system, I might just push on exploring with this one to see if this is already got choke pointed by the Archivist. Okay, so yeah, we've got about 100 days. We've got about 6 months, because it's going to be 100 days to build the thing, and it's another 72 before we get there. So it's another 6 months before we're ready to invade. We're about 7 months from filling up our last job. I want to keep the job open so there's still immigration here. And I do need more mining. I need to get more minerals going so that Unity can build another industrial district so I can support more things like entertainers and bureaucrats.
System reconnaissance completed.
Alright, before we push on surveying, let's just explore real quick. Because if this ends up dead-ending right around here, then that means we need to come back and push up this way for a choke point. So we're looking at about 6 months. We should have the alloys we're going to need then, so I'm going to go ahead and reinforce another fleet. Because yeah, by the time we finish this, get over here and start construction, we should be good on alloys again. It's interesting this doesn't connect directly over there, so it looks like it's going to come down before it branches out. Probably from here it'll branch out there and there. Now the question is, does this reach to there, or does this dead end? I think I'm going to go ahead and pull him back and start surveying from here to start pushing up this long branch. Okay, this is now officially a dead end. It does kind of connect down this way, but that system is part of their empire as well. So let's go ahead and survey this last system. And then we need to head back down to here, so we can see if we can push our choke points up this way. This way would block going inward to that spiral arm, and pushing along this way will give us a position we can hold that way. Our colony on Flaxington has encountered an odd situation. We have apparently settled on the back of a gargantuan amphibian reptile, whose bony shell is formed of various exotic minerals. Most of what we thought were local islands have turned out to be these creatures. Our colonists have begun to refer to them as Nimas. They seem harmless enough, and as long as we don't dig too deep into their shell, they should barely notice us. Reduced housing, but bonus to society research. Now we are building mining districts though, so if we are actually built our colony on a moving island, we're digging into their damn shells. This is a good mining world. If it kills them, it kills them. Alright, we have Illithium. Oh, there's another continental world over here. So yeah, let's change your orders again. You're going to survey this system, and then survey that system, and then we'll worry about it from there. So now that we have this system in our control, they've got 3 primitive armies. Well, my friends, yes, we are about to invade some primitives. Oh, before we do that, let's go ahead and recruit a general. Let's see. More chance to disengage, less collateral damage, longer lifespan, more army morale, more army damage. Yeah, we will get Yu Jug. He's a glory seeker. This leader is always in the thick of it, bucking the spirits of the troops by leading them from the front, despite the risks involved. Well, she's a brave one. Alright, I need 2 months to get there. That'll give me another 32. That'll get me up to 140. I only need 75, but I don't have enough to reinforce this and have enough when I get there.
All sword ground elements are dropping on target.
First contact with the Farine Society. Invaders! We don't know why you are attacking us, but no, we will fight to defend our planet. We will not yield. Hideous creatures, your visage sickens us. They're xenophobes anyway. The news that we have made formal contact with an intelligent yet undeveloped civilization has shaken our society to the core. Leaked footage of these bizarre creatures is spreading through the media outlets across the Commonwealth of Man, and many citizens have been gripped by panic. Rioting has been reported in several cities on Unity. Really, that happened when we made the more advanced people, and they're doing it for primitives too. These aliens are far below our own level of technology. They have not yet developed spaceflight. For all our sakes, let us pray they never will. Oh, they won't. Because they're about to get conquered. Their army does about 0.33 damage. Mine does almost 4. So I'm doing over 10 times their damage. Yeah, 3 armies was overkill, but I wanted to be sure. You gotta swat bugs. Still taking a month. We have located the Hyacinth. The Great Ark ship is parked in a stable orbit over Stellaris 3. No power signatures have been detected from within its hull, and we are not picking up any distress beacons. An armed boarding party should be sent to investigate the ship's interior.
New sitrep.
Alright, so we don't actually have to survey the system. I have to let it advance a day. We need a science ship, not a military vessel. Perfect. So you research the projects in the system and then survey this system. Not worried about surveying that one right now. Well, if we're stomping the crap out of these Iron Age, the Bronze Age won't stand a chance.
Ground objective secured.
Our armies have successfully invaded and subdued the primitive forces on Lithium 2. The locals have given up all attempts at fighting back, and we have now subsumed their civilization into our empire. Although, backwards as they are, it may take some time for the natives to become fully productive members of human society. The Xenos are of no match for us. Stellar culture shock for several years to come, drastically reducing output and reducing stability. 10 years. 33% less resources, 20 less stability, but it does reduce the empire size from pops by 50%. Now we have very low stability. We're going to need to shift some of our population over here. We have a lot of unemployed workers right now. Now these guys, they're going to have stellar culture shock for about 10 years. One thing we can do is go to set their rights and change them from chattel slaves to domestic servitude, so that their unemployed pops work as servants that boost amenities. So instead of them being unemployed, creating crime, having lower unhappiness, and basically dragging down the planet, they will be providing amenities and be considered employed for the purposes of happiness. They still have reduced happiness for being slaves, but they'll be generating a lot of amenities. So they are not, if they're not holding another job, they're employed as servants and increase amenities. They can't be rulers or specialists apart from entertainers. Domestic servants spend much of their time tending to the needs of free pops. Some are assigned to individual domiciles, while others tend to public spaces. They tend to live alongside their masters and thus require almost no dedicated housing. So we will switch them to domestic servitude. In 10 years, we will be able to switch them back to chattel slavery when they have lost stellar culture shock. Because stellar culture shock prevents you from resettling them off-world. So I've got to wait 10 years before I can clear them off of here and start sending them back to work on my other worlds. In the meantime, now that they are servants, let's it'll update. Yeah, look at that. A huge boost in amenities, which is going to offset some of the stability, but we do need some humans over here to make this world place happy. Now, they do have one agriculture district. We do need to do some building here. We could make them farmers. That way we could shift a lot of the agriculture off of Unity right now, or at least free up the people over there, because, I mean, these guys are having reduced resources anyway. Actually, I think we're better off building specialist jobs over here. What do we want this world to be besides... We want this, since we are low on consumer goods, to be a factory world. And we will start building, when we get the minerals, civilian industries. We don't need to build a holo theater just yet because we have amenities from these guys being servants. Now that's another thing. If we were to keep these guys as just like servants, then that means we don't need a building set aside for things like entertainers so much. Well, they could actually work the entertainer jobs, but we could just move unemployed pops over there. We are eventually going to want like domestic servants of some species that's fairly decent. But we only have 2 available jobs, but we do need people over here. So let us resettle. Let's see, how much food are they providing here? Let's go back to the planet. Alright, this I don't think is taking into account their planets. So we were getting 6 food before we got their world. Their world is only generating 3 extra food. So that would get us up to about 9, almost 10. And the farmers here are producing 9. We could spare 1 farmer, but we could also spare the clerk. So let us resettle to our factory world. 1 human clerk. And 1 human farmer. Now we have a little bit of stability. The stability is still, it's going to be bad as long as it's below 25%, but we will be able to start boosting it up. It's a shame that actually having armies on the planet doesn't boost stability, because I'd actually love to just land my armies on here. But this is going to take a while to actually get this planet to a feasible level. But we are going to go ahead and send our transport fleet to the next planet. And we will probably make them domestic servants for 10 years as well, just to help with amenities slightly. Now let's see if we let it advance a little bit. Yeah, okay, our stability has jumped up to 30%, which got rid of the risk of rebellion, having the 2 humans here. And now we can actually, when we get the, we actually do have the minerals, we can start upgrading this to a planetary admin that will add more amenities, more housing. We will get enforcers, and these colonists will upgrade to politicians. Now we're going to need minerals to be able to do the same thing over here when we conquer that world. But we basically got, it's not really developed, but it's already colonized and already has a decent amount of population. Now granted, this population isn't great until later, so this is going to be a little bit of a drain on my economy. I have surplus food. I'm going to be working on consumer goods. We do really need minerals to increase to be able to develop multiple worlds though. In the meantime, although we are going to need people over on these to keep them stable, rather than developing some of my other colonies, as they build population, I can shuffle them to other worlds that need them. And now you see why I usually go domination. I believe it makes enforcers a little better and also boosts stability. This world actually has both mode harvesting and crystal mines. I might actually make this a mining world. No, I'm still going to probably keep it a factory world. But yeah, that's 3 strategic resource built gatherers I can get. And it's only got 1 planetary feature to worry about. Oh, this ocean world has gas extraction. So these 2 worlds right here alone will provide me with every strategic resource. Now after we get this starbase, I'm going to head back getting our mining stations. This one will help with our economy a little bit, as will that one. And we'll get a little bit of minerals and a little bit more physics research. Physics research is doing all right. Also, getting this starbase will allow me to see what these 2 systems have.
Special project complete.
Our boarding party has returned from the Hyacinth with a gruesome report. Human remains in amounts consistent with the Ark ship's entire complement of 250,000 colonists were found on board. Most seem to have died from starvation, but there were also signs of small arms fire and cannibalism. We were able to recover the captain's log from the archives on the Hyacinth's bridge. Bring it up. Ark ship Hyacinth, ISA-06, United Nations Ulysses Initiative, Officer Logbook, Captain Ronald F. Gunderson. Accessing data, corruption detected, attempting repairs, 4 log entries successfully retrieved. Mission date 345.5, first log. We are 2 months out of Earth and proceeding on course. Things have gone smoothly so far, the colonists are fast asleep, and Dr. Kolbeck has reported strong vitals across the board. Our journey has taken us beyond the outer planets, and we are now approaching the Oort cloud. We will soon reach the subspace phenomenon, this supposed wormhole, that the other Ark ships have already entered. I have made my reservations about wormhole travel known in previous log entries, but we'll know if this works soon enough. This one appears to be about a month, actually 42 days later. We actually made it. Astrogation is still working on getting a fix on our position, but judging by the stars outside, I think it's a safe bet to say we're not in Kansas anymore. Unfortunately, the Hyacinth suffered a major engineering casualty that resulted in a complete loss of power, and we're currently running on batteries. Kolbeck has informed me that we may need to wake up the colonists. I'm on my way down to engineering now to see why Maggie is taking her sweet time getting the reactor up and running again. Hopefully we can get underway soon and begin our search for the Chrysanthemum's colonist. Next one is about 35 days later. The situation has gone from bad to worse. There's no longer any realistic hope of restarting the reactor, and the last of the Hyacinth's power reserves were spent in our attempt to reach this misbegotten system. We had hoped to find someplace habitable to set her down, but no such luck. We've got enough juice in the batteries to keep life support going a few years, but with 250,000 colonists up and about, the Hyacinth's food supplies won't last the month. I've called a meeting with all department heads. We need to come up with some sort of plan. 37 days later. This will likely be my final log. My bridge crew is either dead or missing, and a group of colonists are trying to force their way onto the bridge as I speak. Our main food supplies ran out weeks ago, and there are reports of cannibalism. I kept a small stash of food for the crew to keep the old girl running a little while longer, hoping for some kind of miracle, I guess. When the surviving colonists found out, they're through the doors. Back, damn you! Keep your distance. I'm the captain of the ship, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna let you butcher me like a... Ah! Alright, so... they turned into Reavers. Disengage user interface. We now have a pretty clear picture of the grim fate that befell the Hyacinth, her crew, and the colonists she was carrying. Had circumstances been different, it could very well have been the Chrysanthemum drifting above Stellaris 3 like a silent tomb. A sobering reminder of the dangers humanity is faced with in a cold and uncaring universe. The Hyacinth will now be towed into low orbit of Unity and converted into a museum, as soon as the human remains have been cleared out. Despite its tragic history, the Ark ship is almost identical to the one that brought our ancestors here from Earth, and our sociologists could learn much from it. Okay, so it's society research I gained. Perhaps something good will come out of this. Now that'll last us about a year, so we're actually only going to end up knocking, I think, about... it was 74 months. So it'll still be 50-something months when it runs out. Yeah, we basically end up knocking 12 months off of it. So overall, it'll still take about 5 years to research this one. We'll get both of these others before it, unless we've come across more stored research. But yeah, that is the Stellaris version of the Donner Party, I guess. Actually, before I do this invasion, is it too late to set my default rights? Yeah, I'd have to wait 4 more years to set the default to domestic servitude. I should have done that to begin with. That way I wouldn't have to switch it from these guys. They'd automatically be knocked into that. But having to manually switch these two is fine.
Construction complete.
We have made first contact with mysterious aliens in the Deneb system. For now, we have codenamed them Victor Bogies until we can find out more about them. If they possess a language, we should decipher it so that we can assess how much of a threat they pose. That means we actually made contact back here, which means we encountered something out of our range, most likely. We have unassigned envoys. Mahesh Gowda will start on this first contact. And we will invade Dultari 2. Alchemist. They're a little bit more damaging. Wait, I thought these guys were in these guys are in the Bronze Age, which should be before the Iron Age. I guess these guys are just a species. Oh yeah, that's right. These guys are strong. So that's the reason they're actually tougher. But it's another primitive civilization. Alright, let's go ahead and get started on a mining station here. And then we will head back, enter orbit here, build the research station. Enter orbit here, build the mining station. Get this other mining station, and finally this research station. And then we'll figure out where we're going from there. We have an alpine world there. We've made contact with another species, so it depends on where they are as to which way we... Right now, this will serve as a decent choke point. We don't know which direction we need to block yet. But this still blocks into our space. And we need to start pushing up this way to block that one. We really don't have to worry about this one just yet.
All sword ground elements are dropping on target.
Invaders! Hideous creature, your visage sickens us. Guys are gonna make good soldiers, though. Yeah, this fight is actually gonna take a little longer.
Sword 1 Actual reports all ground objectives secured.
We successfully invaded yet another primitive planet. The first thing we need to do is resettle some pops over here. We can't spare a farmer. We're low on that. We'll actually have to take a miner from Earth, or from Unity. And let us also go to Flaxington and take one of our 2 colonists. We can spare a colonist here. Now we need to go to this new world. Actually, we need to go to species. We need to temporarily for the next... Oh, they're toxoids, not lithoids. We need to temporarily change their rights to domestic servitude until they're through with their culture shock. They're not really that useful as anything other than servants. And we have the ability to upgrade this, but we do not have the minerals yet. We need 400 more minerals. Forge World? Well, for now, we'll make it an agri world since it has an agriculture district. And actually, we probably should have made this one an agri world for now. We do need a new sector, which means we're going to need a new governor. We have an eager governor. We have a unity from bureaucrats. And we have a intellectual. Okay, this may end up hurting our food production. But yeah, let's recruit the intellectual, Teresa Galvani. We are going to go to planets and sectors. Unity is going to get our intellectual, because Unity provides a lot of physics and society and engineering research. And we'll put the agrarian governor, Governor Sema, over here. Now this wouldn't exactly be a great agriculture world, but this is just a temporary place to stick this governor. It still does provide resources from jobs, empire size, and a reduction in crime. I think I'm going to split this transport fleet, and I'm going to land one army here on Dultari, and then take the other transport fleet and land that army back on this world. That way they can at least serve as armies in case I do get some event that pops up, defenders of some sort. But that was an easy way to get 2 extra colonies. So now once we get through, it's going to take 10 years before their slave populations are useful. But as we get more minerals, we can develop advanced jobs for our humans to move over there and work. We have a decent supply of energy credits to do some moving around, and we are going to be getting some more energy credits as we get a few more stations built. So that was a fairly quick expansion. Now we need to concentrate on alloys and getting our military fleets equal to our naval coverage, because we will be getting factions soon, and we need to keep our factions happy. Otherwise, our humans will lose happiness, which can cause stability issues on all our worlds. Yeah, we're up to 31% stability here and still 33 here. When this planetary administration gets built, it should improve a little more, because we would be able to move an enforcer over here to get rid of the crime. Because crime is really an issue as your people get unhappy. Because if you look at a population, this is why in my United Nations of Earth game I had no crime. Your default base crime is 2, and it has a multiplier based on your happiness. If you get your happiness up to a certain point, your guys do not generate crime. They're happy enough that they don't worry about committing crimes. But the more unhappy people are, the more crime they generate. So as long as you can keep people happy, you can keep crime under control. But if you have a lot of slaves, well, you're going to have crime, because slaves are never really happy. Now, slaves have an advantage over robots. If we look at one of our slaves, their upkeep is food. They don't require consumer goods. They just require food. Whereas robots had an upkeep in energy credits. Now, the advantage of robots is you can have 2 types of population growing on the world. The disadvantage is that robots require a lot of energy credits, and they take a long time to assemble. Whereas slaves tend to grow pretty quickly compared to robots, and all they require is food. Now, one thing I do want to do is make sure you are not growing your slaves right now. We want humans to grow on this world. If we get more humans and we have jobs, we can shift them back to our other colonies. But until these guys get out of their stellar culture shock, we do not want their population growing. And we definitely don't want them migrating over here. But right now we'll have no migration. There's no planets that have migration at this point. Now I need to save up to be able to upgrade this to a planetary admin. And in the meantime, I will be using a little bit of minerals while he goes around making mining stations. And our food drain is not too bad. We've got enough of a stockpile, I'm just not going to worry about it, because we will get population in places like Earth. 5 months, we can stick another farmer back over here. And that way we're back to a surplus of food. Be about 2 years before we get another colonist here. And on these worlds, yeah, about 2 years before we get another human here. This planetary admin will have an enforcer job available before I have another human population. I won't need to transfer anybody at this point. Reports from our colony on Flaxington claim that there's been an increase in feral behavior. Apparently parts of the population has expressed hitherto unprecedented levels of lust and aggression, and no one knows why. So a boost to population growth, a boost to crime, and a penalty to happiness. Not what I need while I already have 2 unhappy empires, but that's not too bad. We had decent amenities that should be able to compensate for it. And we will get population growth on a brand new colony, which is great. It's now getting migration. It's actually getting migration from these worlds. Because of the low stability, people are going over there. So these 2 worlds, while they're just kind of stagnating a little bit, it will, yeah, it's going to be like 6 years and 5.5 for these 2 to grow a pop. That's fine. It's boosting the population growth on my other worlds. The feral behavior on Flaxington shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. In fact, it has risen since the last report. Promiscuous and violent acts happen all the time, and a large part of the population seems to be affected. Crime is even higher, happiness even lower, more pop growth speed. So we're actually generating some crime now. We'll actually end up generating a lot more crime. There's only 1 pop on here, and it's generating a huge amount of crime. But it has really boosted how quickly I will get pops here, which will help me with miners, which will help me with developing my other worlds.
A new world has been secured for our colonists.
Dawnlight is now up and running. Both jobs are filled because it started with 2 colonists. I do need... This would actually be a good world to take the agriculture from Unity. Even though Unity would be a better breadbasket, Unity is also decent at mining. And I need minerals more right now. Actually, I may just turn this one into a mining world for now, until I get more development, and just let the food production stay on Unity. Though actually, I need to eventually move the food production here, because this is where my agrarian upbringing guy is. Yeah, let's actually build a mining district here. Well, that would run me out of minerals. I'll just hold off on it. Like I said, now that I can shuffle pops around to worlds that might need them, I don't have to develop stuff immediately right now. I think another thing I'm going to do is, rather than reinforce this fleet again, I think I need to build a second constructor, which I need 1 more alloy to do, so I'll do it in April, so that I can have a constructor poised over here and 1 over in this area. Right now, I guess I could just move this guy that way and worry about that a little later. The situation on Flaxington has spiraled out of control. A staggering number of inhabitants are now infected with whatever's causing this feral deluge. and the colony has started to break down because of it. Something needs to be done, or Flaxington will be lost. A startling number of inhabitants? You mean the one pop I've got?
New sitrep.
7 months to research this. Now that's one great thing. The multiplier on research does not affect special projects. It only affected my technology costs, which is great. So it's not making it take, 2 times as long as it would to do this. I wonder if that means they finally fixed it to where it doesn't affect modifying species anymore. Because it used to multiply this as well. But yeah, we'll have to put that on hold, our planetary unification, because we need to root out this problem. Where did our extra worker go? It's not really a farmer, is it? I guess it was a farmer. We're back to positive food, but we're going to need more artisans soon. Flaxington has devastation. Actually, I am going to go ahead and build another construction ship. Because I do want to keep this one over in this area for when I get ready to get to Corinth. And this other one can kind of follow around the emissary to claim the areas over here. So this arid world didn't have anything on it except for strong magnetic fields. No pre-FDL civilizations. After we finish surveying this system, I do want to check out this continental world, so we will survey this system, then this one, and then just start going up this way so that we can start claiming this way just to have a block. We might stop at Obatellis for now and then go back and start claiming some of these other systems to see, or searching some of these other systems, see if we can get decent energy credits and minerals at least out of them.
Anomaly found.
Finally, signs of precursor activity. There are signs of activity by an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. Now it's difficulty 8. Currently my cap for scientists is only 5, so these are going to take a long time to research regardless. But it shouldn't take me too long to get a guy to level 5. Right now that is 4 years. If I get to level 5, I could do it in under 2. So if I get a person to level 5 is the better choice. So we will leave this be for now and at least finish surveying these systems, because the surveys and the smaller anomalies will level him faster.
Special project complete.
The investigation of the strange and wild behavior currently besetting Flaxington has been completed. In the vast network of cave tunnels that permeate the planet's crust, an enigmatic fungus has been found. It grows all over the caves, floor, walls, ceiling, and stretches out for thousands of miles. The fungus frequently releases spores that are vented out of the caves. For what purpose has not been established, but we know for certain that it causes primitive behavior in our species, releasing primal urges within. We can try to find out a useful application for this phenomenon, or we can exterminate the fungus altogether. So we can utilize the mushrooms or exterminate them. They have a potential to make our armies more effective if they're inducing rage or as a biological weapon. Yeah, let us see if we can find some uses. Let's live.
New sitrep.
So that will take another 7 months. Let's check our technology. It'd be 2 years before we got planetary unification. Let's go ahead and see about utilizing them, because I think we're still going to have the penalties until we finish this. Yeah. And we've got devastation on the planet already. And I think every now and then it'll trigger little outbursts that'll make it worse. We need to go ahead and solve the problem. And since we have a fleet command limit of 30, I'm going to go ahead and queue up 20 of our picket ships for this fleet. As our colony on Flaxington has been flourishing, the adolescents of this new world have sought to create entertainment for themselves, as youths are wont to do. Some groups have made a game of sneaking up as close as they dare to their local Nima's head. Unfortunately, this daring activity has led to tragedy. After startling the beast, several young humans fell off its neck of the massive creature, resulting in injuries and one fatality. Distraught colonists are now asking for something to be done about these brutish behemoths. Flaxington has had two different things going on, the moving islands and that. We don't have a population to spare. We can either study them or allow the use their thing. It'll reduce housing, but boost society research and happiness. No, it's the same society research, same housing penalty. We just add a 15% happiness boost to this planet while people fuck with the Nima, basically. Or we could study the Nima and see if we can come up with some other applications for them, like the ability to control them. Yes, something must be done.
New sit rep.
And unfortunately, it's probably going to be... Oh, that just finishes in 180 days. Doesn't do anything else. We shall put the fate of the Nima in the care of our best scientists and see what solutions can be found. Oh, I need a scientist here to do that. Well, you aren't really currently surveying a place. Let us send you... We don't need a ship. The project has already been researched. Yeah, we don't need a ship in orbit. It's just going to research on its own. Cool. We have picked up readings of unknown nature. The signals seem to follow some kind of repeating syntax, which could indicate sapient origin. It should be investigated further. They seem to be concentrated around a single space station, though it is unclear whether this forms part of a larger spacefaring civilization. So this is one of the enclaves. Okay.
Construction complete.
We've got all of our mining stations to date. Now we're going to head over here to Corinth. Oh, we finally completed that planet. Another decent, or one that could be mining. No features though. Decent size.
Special project complete.
Industrial facilities have been built over the outlets for the fungus-infested cave system. Apart from filtering and regulating the spread of spores, these plants can also convert any excess spore clouds into useful exotic gases. The population growth has increased as the somewhat randy inhabitants of Flaxington satisfy their urges more frequently, which unfortunately also means that the level of violence and conflict is somewhat higher on Flaxington. So 5% less happiness, 20% more pop growth, and we get a gas plant engineer job every 20 pops, and 2 to start with. That's actually worth it. So even without the extraction technology, we do have access to gas plant engineers, but they have an upkeep of minerals. I don't want to be working those just yet. We don't need the exotic gases this early. I don't want to spare the minerals. We need to get our mineral production underway first. And if we do anything with minerals, it's going to be consumer goods.
Science Division report success.
Quantum theory. Exploring the mediation of fundamental forces through subatomic particles. Our first research. Alright, we do have a computing specialist, so automated exploration protocols, since we only have 2 science ships, might not be a bad idea. But we also can't expand that fast. I think a better idea is a boost to overall research speed. Plus it's cheaper. That will take about 6.5 years. We have an unemployed human on Dawnlight we can shift somewhere else. And I think the best place to send them is Elysium, so that we can have them working as an enforcer. Enforcers reduce crime and boost stability. For some reason you became a clerk. I want you to be a enforcer, thank you very much. All I had to do was highlight, because we have Farine who can be the clerks here. I mean, these guys provide 4 amenities. And take up less housing. These provide only 2 amenities, but they provide 4 trade values, so that's more income. I would rather have one working as a clerk and have you as an enforcer, because I want my stability back. And my crime reduced. Yeah, we're going to have to do something about our consumer goods soon. We now have low stockpiles. It says it'll last 10 months. Well, I'm going to let it go till January before I worry about it.
System reconnaissance completed.
Alright, so we finished Corinth. Let's go ahead and survey that system first, and then this one. We can go ahead and start building a starbase next month here. We need a little bit more alloys.
Recon pass completed.
We actually have 2 potential starbases we can build. We're not going to be able to colonize this world anytime soon. We have enough economic issues. We got to let some of our colonies develop. I think we'll colonize this one because I'll get more energy credits here and it gets me closer to another choke point. This isn't vital. We want to hold choke points, not necessarily backtrack and get stuff just yet. Alright, I'm going to need to do something to deal with consumer goods. I can't afford another industrial district, and I probably can't afford civilian industries either. So what we're going to have to do is buy consumer goods. We can start with just 5. Dropping 2 will give me a... actually, let's go ahead and get 8. Now that is going to be about 20 energy credits a month. And that'll put us in an energy credit deficit, but we have a bigger stockpile of energy credits. And we can do other things as we get more population. We're going to get another person on Unity in 8 months. We can either start... actually, we could start generating food now. That would slow down our minerals, though. But we could start generating more food to sell. And, of course, we could also just outright sell food every now and then if we need to. But we need to keep our consumer goods. We could actually buy consumer goods just to cut out the deficit for a bit. That'll make the deficit go away. We need to get our mineral production up so we can start developing these worlds. We are going to need to build either civilian industries, and that would probably be our best bet, would be a civilian industries. It's not as expensive as the district. It builds faster. It doesn't increase our empire size, and it'll give 2 jobs here. We're also going to need more energy credits, so we need to put generator districts on one of these worlds. But yeah, we're running into a little bit of a bottleneck with minerals. But we will fix that eventually. And it has been another 5 years. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.